Hello, YouTube. My video today is about how is about how dogs, animals, even cats, whatever you have. Hopefully, it's not a tarantula or anything, but I concentrate on cats, dogs, more specifically dogs. How they tell on their owners. When animals are in the environment, in the Bible, when the relationship between animals to human beings is that God said you will have dominion over the animals. So animals, when they come into your environment, when they're in their own environment with other animals, they will operate in specific levels: the bucking level, the alpha, the survivalist, different levels they take. But when they're with human beings, and hopefully, some human beings still have to learn about this, but they rely upon the human being so much so that the human being becomes the alpha. In the process of that happening, the human being begins to become the official influence, right? So when a human being gets an animal, they either see that animal as, and they call it pet. They call it pet for a reason, because they're able to stroke the animal, they get some kind of self-affirmation, or they're there to literally be loving towards the animal, the dog, When the animal slowly begins to accept the energy, the information, the aura, the atmosphere of that human being, they begin to mimic that. I know we're not talking about, because animals are so innocent, they're so helpless, they're innocent. They're probably better people than a lot of people are. When you're talking about, if you want to look at everything that models what makes a higher being, you observe an animal. They're caring. They're not. They don't ever see color, like the way racism and all that stuff do. They see people. They observe the color around people. They really. Some people said they see five-dimensional. So they see specific information around that person, the color of a person, whether they be white, whether it be operating on a red level. Just going into it. I don't want to go into it anymore. The thing is about animals, when they begin to take on the energy of that person, they're taking on the real nature of that person. Now, when an animal gets too much to be a barker, and some animals, some breeds bark a little more, but even some professional dog people, behavioral people, they discovered that animals, if you're calm, one guy puts it this way: if you're calm and assertive, they take on a calmness. The temperament of an animal can be measured by the temperament of who's at the other end of the leash, who's holding them. They also, in the environment, by the very silence in their eyes go back and forth, which is really cute, by the way. They also know who's the alpha in the environments. If it's a woman and a man, or even a child, and that's who they follow. It says, "Oh, that animal owns me." Basically, how can I chose me? No, that animal chose you. You're the predominant energy, right? So people like to flatter themselves, and human beings in general can be really insecure about, a lot of things an animal will show them. They feel all, when in reality the animal's submitting, right? Now, the one thing that we as human beings, I like this, and I'm the same way. I like being like this. Is you live and let live. You know how to stay in your own lane. You know how to not to be a controller. You kind of like, yeah, you know what? If that's your thing, if you want to be like that, go ahead, have your fun, have your show. Just don't bother me when you're actually trying to invade my life. That's when we're gonna have an issue. And of course, I'm still learning about this. Being a calm kind of guy, I have allowed people to come and take over, which is really bad. Anyway, getting back to the animals. Now this is really a sad thing, a sad story, because I've seen people do this. Animals will also begin to take on the genetical, genetic genetics of the human being. Some people I've met on two different occasions where a woman says, "Oh, all my animals died of the same thing," and I said, "So does that run in your family?" Yeah, and I go, Could there be a high probability?" Now this is really interesting. When people get their animal, because it's a living being, they begin to project their stuff onto the animal. Now that's really serious. That's an abuse. That's a metaphysical abuse that people haven't really gone into. Or when they begin to project their anger and who they really are, and they play the niceties with people, because people like to believe everyone's nice, so they accept them on a surface level. But an animal begins to show signs of an aggressiveness that you kind of go, ooh, what's going on with an animal? Or they begin to bark a little too much at moving objects or people, or even in the house, they begin to bark out of nowhere. And then sometimes that's when you kind of wonder if the house is actually infested with entities, things going on in the environment. And I just get a little bit out of this, but still back into it. People who are really nasty on the inside are breeding ground for demonic spirits. People who are very wicked on the inside, they really are really seriously wicked. They really something really wrong with them. They will hurt you. They'll be nice to you, and that you do something nice to them, and then they'll turn around and do some of the most crazy things. And you go, "Whoa, what just happened there?" You see, some people are used to, they're accustomed to an environment of their wickedness, of who they are. And when you come about, or even a good animal comes about their life and tries to change that environment, the prevailing energy has to overcome the good, the nice. And that animal begins to become changed. I remember one time, this lady adopted this dog. Sweet, the dog was sweet. Dog came over, said hi and everything else. And the dog had a problem leaving the old environment. So we kind of just, and I believe in that because I've seen it. Begin to talk to the dog, and the dog, they know stuff. They're not stupid. I let it know that it's going into a safe environment. The animal changed. The attitude of the animal changed. And you can even see it in their body language. The animal became friendly. Well, the people who newly adopted the animal took the animal away, and a week or so after, I met up with them, and I met up with that is a part husky, I think it was, and that dog changed. Oh my God, blew me away. As soon as I went up to that dog, it looked at me with the most ferocious looks, and lo and behold, the people who adopted that dog, I discovered later, they used me. They took advantage of me, and they were really very disgusting people, actually. As I got to really realize who they really are, that animal began to take on their energy and began to show it outwardly when they were able to hide it so well. The interesting thing about the reason why that lady adopted that dog is because her previous dog was attacked ferociously by another dog. Now, what is really sad about this is that dog took on her information. And I found out that she used to go, when she was really angry and everything, she used to go into the room where that dog was and scream at the dog and take out her. See, because when people have what they have, it's got to go somewhere. That's why parents take out what they do on their children, because they're more helpless. And it's a cowardly thing to do. They take out their stuff. They have to let it go somewhere, right? That's why when people do gross, terrible things to other people or even to children, whatever, they have to put it somewhere. It gives them relief. Instead of them coming face to face and being brave about what's happening with them and seek out deliverance, seek out change, seek out therapy, whatever the case is. No, they got to be cowardly and stupid, and they got to abuse that animal. And it is a form of abuse. When a human being projects and gives out to that animal that is helpless, that is submissive, that is nice about it, that when an animal should be in safe, the animal should be safe, the animal should be actually not accepting, that cowardly human being begins to project their nasty garbage on that poor innocent creature. Now that's when it becomes crime. So I'm going to go more into this in other videos I have, but I'm going to just end with this. Animals really do tell on their owners. The majority of the times they do, unless the animals come from an abusive place and they need to have change, therapy, begins to trust more. The majority of the times I've witnessed this, animals do tell on their owners. They really do. And when you see an animal after a while being with a person, and that animal starts to show aggression, or out of nowhere will start to do some really unpredictable stuff, be careful of that owner. Have a good day. We'll talk another day. Another time, I mean. Bye.